vocals sound amazing! But in a mix, they sound like complete crap. I've been recording bands since 1998, and I've made a lot of terrible mistakes along the way. If you're working at your desktop and struggling to get your vocals to sound great, the solution isn't all that difficult. You just need the right approach. Singers are their own worst enemy. They want the vocals down huge and brutal, dude. And you do everything conceivable to make sure that just doesn't happen. Here's a typical situation. I'll approach a vocalist with this. Hey, I've got a great idea. Let's give up alcohol and dairy for a week before recording in the studio so your session will go better. And of course, every single metal vocalist will say the exact same thing. No way am I giving that up. I know better. Let's do it the stupid way. That way we can burn up more time and spend more money. And then probably goes out for pizza and beer the night before recording. Now look, you don't have to take my word for it. Take some advice from somebody a little further up the chain from me. This is my cousin Carolyn Sinclair, the opera soprano. Now she gave me some fantastic advice about 25 years ago, and it's stuck with me ever since. No dairy for a week before a gig, because dairy coats your throat and interferes with your vocal cords. You remember the thing we're trying to keep in optimum condition? This rule should apply to anybody looking to record vocals. Same thing with alcohol. Now, achieving your goals does require some discipline and sacrifice. So if you want to sound your absolute best on recording day, go get a pizza after you record your vocals. It's really not that difficult, guys. You just got to ask yourself, what do you want out of life and what are you willing to do to make it happen? Now, of course, the biggest hurdle of them all is trying to explain to the singer why he should just keep his big stupid hands away from the fucking microphone. Now, believe it or not, I actually do understand the sound that the vocalist is going for. And I also understand that most of the gigs that you guys have to play have shitty PAs with nowhere near enough power to amplify your voice properly, much less let you hear yourself in the monitors. So doing this makes the mic seem louder. And that becomes the technique a lot of vocalists rely on. However, we're not aiming for the best sound at your local dive bar. And we're not aiming for the best sound at your sister's birthday party. We're aiming for the best sound for what's coming across the monitors. And that means the vocal has to work with the rest of the instruments. Take me away. Now what I'm using there was actually one simple plugin. I've got all this amazing gear, but I did that with no outboard processing at all on the vocals. Let's break it down. Yeah, I know, amazing. Nobody put their hand anywhere near the vocal mic when that was done. So we've got, just a really cool main vocal going on here. And then we got all these gang vocals going on here. And I'm only using one plugin across the board here, despite all this amazing analog gear. I've got a Neve console. I've got all this outboard gear. I'm using one little plugin. And that's this right here. This is the Gamma Vocal Suite from Modern Metal Songwriter. And this is a complete vocal chain to help you get pro results with minimal dicking around. Now, don't get me wrong. You can go put a whole bunch of different plugins together in your own custom chain and do the thing this will do. But this has everything just laid out in a logical manner and just helps you achieve your goals faster. And for me, anyway, this is what really counts because I'm all about saving time at this point. We've got a compressor, an EQ, saturator with reverb, delay, de-esser, doubler, and limiter. And the crazy thing up top here, we've got a effects organizer. We can change the order what everything goes in. So if you want width before delay or vice versa, any of that, you can just hit the little arrows and move stuff around so you can make your own custom signal chain. Now remember guys, the trick here is it's cool that we've got all this stuff, but you don't have to use it all at the same time. You can pick and choose and be sparing. In this case, the vocal was compressed on the way in, so I really don't need to add any additional compression. I mean, you see this image here. I mean, that is a compressed vocal, so we don't need to add any more. In this case, we're just using a little bit of saturation, a little bit of width. These are some really cool controls. You don't have to do much. They just sound cool right out of the box. The trick is to use them sparingly. And add a little bit here. My soul, I need to see the world to the unknown. I'll go. And add a little bit of width.
my soul out to the open gold. I can't stay.
That is super cool right there. I love that width control. I use a stereo width trick on lead guitars all the time. It kind of reminds me of the same kind of effect, except it's designed with a vocal in mind. You got 3 different types to work with. That's super cool. I've got a tiny bit of reverb and a tiny bit of delay going on. And the big thing here is I don't have to set up external sends and, do all this extra stuff. It's just there, and it's timed to the tempo of the song, especially the delays here. We can set this up for sync for 16th notes, 8th notes, all that kind of stuff. Add in as much as we want.
My soul, I need to see the world to
just dial in however much you want. I can put in way less if I want.
My soul, I need
a little bit of verb.
See the world to the unknown. I'll go against my soul.
There's literally 2 separate reverbs here. That is super cool. And they're even in mono, and there's a ducking mode. I think that turns the reverb down and only brings it up for the tails. Let's try that real quick.
My soul, I need to see the world to.
That is super cool. It does the same with delay. I've never actually tried ducking the delay while the vocal's going. That's a neat trick. I really like that. And we got a lo-fi button here as well.
My soul, I need to see the world to the.
Now, if I want to do something insane, like I got this long sustain bit, what if I want a long delay for this? So I'm going to turn the ducking off, and I'm going to crank the feedback up, and I'm going to set it for 1 whole note here. Oh, that is sweet. That's super cool. Wow. And that's just on the main vocal. Once again, no compression, but it's got it right here. That's the biggest knob on the whole damn thing. Just crank it in. It's set to work with the vocals. It's literally, just the easy button. That's exactly what this thing does. Now, I've got these really cool gang vocals going on here as well, and I asked the singer to step back from the mic in increments as he's adding more and more layers. If we check this out right here, you see I got 2 foot, 4 foot, and 6 foot scream, and that's exactly what's going on. He's stepping back further and further and further from the mic. And if we just listen to the mics raw, this is pretty damn cool. That's not bad at all. Now, I'm going to punch gamma on here, and we got a bit of EQ going on, and we got some massive amounts of saturation going on, just to get things super aggressive going on. I don't like that blah, 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 on the delay. I think I'm going to bring that down to a quarter note. Let's see what we get here. That's cool. Let's take the feedback down. We don't need it going that long, but that might work a bit better. Cool. Let's hear that in the mix. No, actually, that's still too much. No, we'll take it back to an 1/8. That actually worked pretty damn well. It's out of the way because it's like I want the delay to be there, but I want it to be out of the way when that main vocal kicks back in. It's all about call and answer, and I want the focus of the listener's attention to go to the main vocal. That's cool. Just remember, guys, just because an effect sounds cool on its own doesn't mean it's going to work in the context of a mix. Now, remember, guys, processing is cool, but you have to be extra careful to not overdo it. This is something that I hear all too often on my mix evaluation show. Guys will throw gobs of EQ onto a vocal to make it brighter, but they increase the sibilance in the process. Those are the harsh S's. Those get really harsh once you start adding on way too much boosting EQ. Sometimes subtractive EQ can be a better way to achieve what you're after than constantly boosting everything. Of course, the trick is to try different ideas, as not all fixes work in every situation. Now, speaking of situations, how do we make the screaming vocals work? Now, of course, the reason you guys all clicked on this video is to hear me mix the modern, genty stuff, the stuff I just love to listen to. Yippee! Yeah, here's the thing about being a mix engineer. You're never, ever going to quite get exactly what you're into coming through your door. You have to be able to switch genres and maybe work with stuff you're not maybe the biggest fan of. I'm definitely not the biggest fan of this style of metal. That's fine. I know a lot of you guys go crazy for it. I prefer singers, but hey, if you're into the screamy thing, this thing could definitely do the screamy metal thing. Check it out. Outside of the breathing field, there's just a person with the dark side that lets kill. Yeah. Okay, it does the thing. It even does the really angsty thing. Check this out. I think what he was trying to say is, you stepped on my foot, you fucking asshole! I think that's what he was trying to say anyway. But just to break it down here for you real quick, again, we've got this set up, and I just went by a couple of the presets built in. What the hell was I using? It was aggro screams tight. This is what I found. It's just got like a little bit of EQ, a lot of compression. This does not have a compressor on it. A little bit of saturation, tiny bit of reverb and delay. I did dial in quite a bit of DS onto this, and that's really cool. Once again, that's something I don't have to go digging for. I don't have to go through my plugin list. I can just hit a knob and it does the thing. And again, I'm all about efficiencies.
Don't say I don't care until I to obey them. The fuck the contest are shrouded with praise. Yeah, the ones.
Again, all we have to do is just move a couple of knobs and it just works in the mix. Again, I always recommend don't play the track completely soloed up. Run it with the background music and twist the knobs, because that's the important part. Don't just do it by itself. Make it sound really cool and then wonder why it sounds like shit in the mix, because you're basically guessing how it's going to work. Have the mix going. Add a little bit of saturation. One more time. Can get pretty aggressive there. If we listen to that back solo, it's probably going to sound like shit. But in the mix, that seems to be the appropriate amount of grit to throw on the vocal. Again, the doubler thing's really cool too. I'm just going to solo this up briefly just so we can punch it in and out. You can hear what it's doing.
Don't say I don't care until I to obey them. The fuck the contest are shrouded with praise. Yeah, the ones that try to suck.
Pretty subtle effect, but it's pretty cool. You know, if you got like, say, maybe a weak vocalist, this guy's definitely not weak. He doesn't need a lot of it, that's for sure. But that can be, again, something to just add a little bit of texture to the vocal. And again, this is not something I would normally throw onto one of my own mixes, but the fact that I've got an option there to use it if I want is cool. But I'm just not going to use a whole lot of it because I don't think it really needs it here. Back end limiter, again, is always welcome. Now, it even handles the completely, hyper processed, auto tuned harmony vocal thing really well as well. And I'm using the modern back dub preset on this. Now the doubler there would make a lot more sense than it would on a main vocal, again, because we're trying to fill up a space there.
Burn the stage, expose their
Add a little bit more width.
unmask the puppets and let their truth call the show.
Actually, the width control really worked there because it really kind of opened up the space in the center field. This is probably something I wouldn't have come up with without this plugin. I would have never thought to do something like that. Because when you crank over that width button, you lose the center image.
Burn the stage, expose their show, unmask the puppets.
And that just puts them completely out of the way of the main vocal. So that actually worked really cool.
Burn the stage, expose their show.
Now I just need to get the... That piece needs a little bit of automation as well. And that's the other thing, guys. If you're not automating your vocals, you need to start. So what are we? 3 and 4 is going on there. Let me just see what we got here. And 10. I'm just going to do a quick automation here, just manually here. I'm not even going to print it. I just want to see if this will work. Yeah, Yeah, that worked a little better. That way, we can still hear the other elements of the mix, because there's there's literally like track after track after track after track of vocal going on there. And if you just stack everything and don't bother to carve out any space for anything else, you're going to run into problems. So yeah, maybe a little bit of automation there will come in really handy. Now I know where to put the faders. I can go back and write that and print that, and that's going to make up a whole lot more space. Gotta say though, that width control is pretty damn cool, especially on the over processed screamo background vocals. I did the exact same kind of sound about 10 years ago on a record called Slaughterhouse on the Prairie, and glad to know they've been making all kinds of progress in the metal genre since. Now, despite having a wonderful Neve console and all kinds of incredible outboard gear, I gotta say I like the plugin for what it does, because it puts everything I kind of need to do a vocal right at my fingertips, and they're even got some extra stuff in there I probably wouldn't have even considered doing, like the doubler effect. I thought that was pretty sick, to be honest with you. Now, you can get Gamma for only $99 at Modern Metal Songwriter, and what's more is you can get it as a bundle with a Clairvoyant amp sim for only $139. Now, if you apply the code Spectre25, you can get an additional 25% off, and that is a pretty amazing deal. Now, this is why I did the video, because if you're struggling and you're trying to make sense of how to wedge your vocals in a mix full of massive guitars, Gamma might be just the thing you're looking for. But don't take my word for it. Check out the free demo and see if it works for you. Links in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.